I ran into my ex at the party. He's worth 900 M now. A CEO. He was just about to mock me for being single when the twins threw themselves at me. He was floored. Party day. I just wanted to stay quiet and be invisible. But who knew the broke loser ex-husband I dumped back then had turned into a CEO worth 800 million. And he brought his little fake innocent mistress with him. In front of over 100 people, he poured a glass of red wine over my head. The whole room went dead silent. He looked down at me with that smug, mocking smirk. Shenxingxi, you dumped me for being poor back then. Regretting it now? I was soaked through, looking like a drowned rat. But right at that moment, 2 7-year-old boys burst into the banquet hall, grabbed my legs from both sides, and shouted at Gu Tingshan, Daddy. The man's face went green instantly. My name is Shenxingxi. I'm 29 years old. A single mother of 2 kids. Owner of a tiny dessert shop on the south side. Calling myself an owner is being generous. It's really just a 300 square foot rented space. 3 tables, waking up at 5 every morning to bake bread. Closing at 10 p.m. to scrub trays. My hands are scarred. And flour calluses. I've skipped company parties for years. Not by choice. I was too ashamed to show my face. 7 years ago, when I left Gu Tingshan, the whole company branded me a gold digger. Everyone thought I ditched him because he was poor, because his startup failed, because he was drowning in debt. So, I took his mom's 500K and vanished. All these years, I never explained myself. Not because I didn't want to. I never got the chance. And no one wanted to hear it anyway. That afternoon, while I was baking cookies in the shop, my phone rang. Unknown number. I picked up. It was a middle-aged woman's voice, almost overly enthusiastic. Jingxi, it's me, Sister Li. Your old team lead from Xingheng Tech. I froze. The piping bag nearly slipped. Xingheng Tech. Those words were like a rusty key, forcing open that dust-covered door in my mind. 7 years? Sister Li. My voice came out uncertain. Oh my God, you still remember me. That's great. Sister Li's voice was brimming with barely contained excitement. Jingxi, listen, the company's 10th anniversary celebration is next week at Starlight Hotel. All old staff must come. You have to come. I instinctively wanted to refuse. Sister Li, I'm busy with the shop. Busy with what? No matter how busy. Can you be busier than Mr. Liu? He's worth 800 million and still shows up. How can you not? Sister Li cut in. Mr. Gu Tingshan. Gu Tingshan. My knuckles went white. He's coming too? Of course he is. Xingheng is a publicly traded company now. Mr. Gu is a legend here in Suizhou City. Started in some rundown rental, now he's worth 800 million. Qingxi, tell me, if you hadn't left back then. Right now, Sister Li caught herself mid-sentence. Realized she'd put her foot in it, and stopped fast. Oh, geez, me and my big mouth. Anyway, you have to come. A lot of the old crew wants to see you. I tried to come up with an excuse to get out of it, but Sister Li didn't give me the chance. She rattled on a mile a minute, then hung up. A moment later, she sent over the location. Starlight Hotel, rooftop restaurant. I stared. Standing in front of the oven, frozen for a long moment. Burnt cookie smell snapped me back. 7 years. I thought I'd never see Gu Tingshan again for the rest of my life. That night, back home, I stood in front of the mirror for a long time. The woman in the mirror had a bare face. Hair thrown up in a careless ponytail. Wearing faded, washed-out loungewear. Fine lines were already visible at the corners of her eyes. My hands smelled of flour and butter, nails clipped down to nothing. Fingertips covered in thick calluses. Was this Shenxingxi from 7 years ago? Sitting in an office tower, doing market planning? Of course not. That Shenxingxi died the day she took that 500,000. Mummy. 2 identical little heads poked through the crack in the door, interrupting my thoughts. Lele and Anan. My twin boys, 7 years old, pretty as porcelain dolls. Big eyes, long lashes, spitting images. The spitting image of Gu Tingshan. Mommy, why aren't you coming out? Come watch TV with us. Lele ran over and wrapped himself around my leg, tilting his face up, laying on charm. Mommy busy? Anan crowded in too, little hand tugging at the hem of my shirt. I crouched down, pulled one into each arm, and held them close, kissing each on the forehead. Mommy's thinking about whether to go to a party next week. A party? Will there be yummy food? Lele's eyes lit up instantly. Will there be cake? Anan wasn't about to be outdone. I laughed. All you think about is food. They giggled, rolling around in my arms, soft little bodies wriggling. They're like two little suns, so warm. I held them tight. But somewhere deep in my heart, there was a dull ache. Gu Tingshan doesn't know he has two sons. When I left back then, I didn't even know myself. They were already in my belly. That 500,000? I never touched a cent 7-year fixed deposit. Not even the interest. I told myself. That was the child support Gu Tingshan paid in advance. But deep down, I know the real reason I never touched that money is because it disgusts me. What it bought wasn't my love. It bought the 7 years we should have had. Party day. I went after all. Not to see Gu Tingshan. I went to see Sisterly. Back when I was at the company, she was the only one kind to me. When I left, she ran after me, asking why. I didn't dare tell her the truth. All I said was, I'm just tired. Somehow twisted into Shinchingsi ditching him when things got hard. Tired of it all, so she bailed. Never explained. 7 years now. I'm past explaining. At Starlight Hotel, I'd made a point to change into a dress that still looked presentable. Bought it last year on clearance. Cost 300 yuan. I usually can't bear to wear it. The tag's still on. Standing at the hotel entrance, I looked up at that glittering, gilded lobby. Chandeliers blinded. Floors shone like mirrors. I took a deep breath, pushed the door open, and walked in. The elevator was packed with old colleagues from Xinheng. I didn't recognize a single one. Or maybe, changed so much I couldn't recognize them. Men in sharp suits. The women dripping in jewelry, each one holding a champagne flute. All talking about stocks, funds, school district properties. I shrank into the corner of the elevator. An ugly duckling in a swan lake. Elevator doors opened. The revolving restaurant blurred with clinking glasses and gowns. I was looking down, trying to spot Sisterly, when a shrill voice rang out from behind me. Well, if it isn't Shinchingsi. I turned around to see a woman in a red evening gown walking toward me. Flawless makeup, powerful presence, arm in arm with a man in a gray suit. I knew that man. He was Gu Tingshan's business partner from the early days. His name's Xiao Mingyuan. The woman is Lin Wanner. Back then, she was receptionist. We were never close. But when it came to me leaving Gu Tingshan, she always ran her mouth behind my back. So it really is you. Lin Wanner looked me up and down. Her gaze lingered on my cheap dress for 2 seconds. A faint, unreadable smile tugged at the corner of my lips. I heard you opened a little dessert shop. That one in the south part of the city. What was it called again? Yapping Desserts? Right. She deliberately stressed the name Yapping, dragging it out. As if it were some hopelessly tacky, backwater name. How's business? I heard that whole street's getting demolished. It's okay. She covered her mouth and laughed. Qingxiai, tell me, if you hadn't left back then, you'd at least be the boss's wife by now. Why would you be suffering with some tiny dessert shop? A few old co-workers nearby turned to look, their eyes gleaming with pure gossip. I said nothing. I didn't want to make a scene here, not because I'm scared of her, but because I refused to let Lele and Ainan's faces end up splashed across tomorrow's local headlines. But Lin Wan'er clearly wasn't about to let me off the hook. She leaned in closer, lowering her voice, just enough that everyone around could still hear. I heard Mr. Gu is coming today. Tell me, when he sees you, do you think he'll remember how you took his mother's $500,000 and ran? My fingers curled into fists. But don't you worry. Lin Wan'er patted my shoulder. Her smile dazzlingly bright. Mr. Gu has someone by his side now. She's got a master's from overseas. Her family's in real estate. Compared to someone like you, well, a little different. The word she didn't say out loud was countryside. I took a deep breath, about to speak, when a sudden commotion erupted behind me. Mr. Gu's here. Hello, Mr. Gu. Mr. Liu, right this way. Everyone surged toward the entrance, like a tidal wave. I didn't turn around. I didn't want to. But Lin Wan grabbed my arm and yanked me around, her voice dripping with gleeful schadenfreude. Qingxiai, look. Mr. Gu is so impressive now. If you hadn't left back then, her words died in her throat. Because Gu Tingshan was walking straight toward us. No, not walking, storming. His strides were fast. Those deep, piercing eyes locked onto me like a leopard that had just found its prey. 7 years. He had changed so much. Gu Tingshan at 30 was no longer the broke kid from back then, wearing cheap street market clothes, walking miles home just to save 2 yuan on bus fare. He wore a perfectly tailored charcoal gray suit. The platinum cufflinks at his wrists glinted under the lights with quiet elegance. His hair was immaculately styled. His jawline sharp as if carved by a blade. He radiated an oppressive aura that made it impossible to look him in the eye. Behind him followed a whole entourage, old brothers from the startup days, company executives, and a woman I'd never seen before. That woman wore a white evening gown, her long hair cascading over her shoulders. Her features were as delicate as a porcelain doll. She was holding on to Gu Tingshan's arm, her face wearing a perfectly polished smile. Lin Wanner leaned close to my ear and whispered, "That's Mr. Gu's girlfriend. Sun Yanqing. Got her master's overseas. Her family's in real estate development." I ignored her. Because Gu Tingshan was already standing right in front of me. He stopped, looking down at me from above. There was less than a meter between us, but it felt like an uncrossable chasm, 7 years wide. "Shen Qingxi," he spoke. His voice was low, carrying an emotion I couldn't quite name. Not warmth. Not anger. Just a cold, judgmental distance. "Long time no see." I lifted my head and met his gaze. There wasn't a trace of warmth in his eyes. They were like 2 blocks of ice. "Mr. Gu," I said, my voice so calm. It even surprised me. "Mr. Gu." The corner of his mouth curled into a mocking smile. "You used to call me Tingshan." Muffled laughter rippled through the crowd. I didn't respond. His gaze slid away from my face, sweeping from top to bottom over my dress, finally landing on my flat shoes. Those shoes were bought last year, the toes already scuffed and worn from use. "You've done well for yourself," he said, his tone dripping with sarcasm. I stayed silent. "I heard you opened a dessert shop," he asked again. "The one in the South District?" "So everyone knows I opened a dessert shop in the South District. Seems like everyone thinks I'm barely scraping by." "Yeah," I said. "Still alone?" he asked. Those 3 words cut like a knife, piercing straight into my chest. Still alone. He knew. I was still alone. He knew I hadn't remarried. Had no boyfriend. Raising 2 kids by myself. For 7 years. He knew everything. Yet he still had to ask. Before I could answer, the woman behind him stepped forward, took his arm, and smiled at me. "Tingshan, who's this?" "My ex-wife," Gu Tingshan said. When he said those words, his tone was as casual as commenting on the weather. "The one who took 500,000 from my mother and ran." The room fell silent for a moment. Every gaze locked onto me. Some pitied me. Some looked down on me. Some were just enjoying the show. Sun Yanqing's eyes widened slightly. She looked me up and down, then flashed a perfectly polished, flawless smile. "Hello. I'm Sun Yanqing. Tingshan's fiancé." I just nodded, not saying a word. But Gu Tingshan suddenly laughed. That smile was pure malice. "Shen Qingxiai. Why didn't you bring your husband along? Don't tell me." He paused on purpose. His eyes swept over my bare ring finger. "Don't tell me nobody's put a ring on it yet." Laughter erupted around us. My heart felt like it was being crushed in someone's fist. Not because his words cut deep, but because I realized. 7 years later, Gu Tingshan was still the same Gu Tingshan. Arrogant. Stubborn as a mule once he's made up his mind. He was certain I'd left him for money back then. He thought I left him for being broke. He wouldn't even spare a single second to wonder how the girl who used to split plain steamed buns with him, who'd walk home just to save 2 yuan on bus fare, who stayed up. How that same Shinching Ci. He won't see the truth. Hating me is easier for him. "Mr. Gu." I spoke up, my voice quiet but steady. I came here to see old colleagues today, not to catch up. If there's nothing else, did I say you could leave? He stepped forward and grabbed my wrist. His grip was brutal, clamping down on me like an iron vice. I tried to pull free but couldn't. Gutingshan, let go of me. I hissed under my breath. No. He leaned in closer. Close enough that I could smell the faint cologne on him. Shenqingxi, it's been 7 years. You think you can hide from me forever? What happened back then? You still owe me an explanation. An explanation? I met his eyes. What do you want? Why did you take my mother's money? Why did you disappear without a word? His voice cracked for a split second, but quickly turned ice cold again. Why couldn't you even give me one single reason? Because you don't deserve one. Those words circled my lips 3 times. In the end, I swallowed them. Not because I was afraid to say it. I just didn't want to. Not here. Not in front of 100 people hungry for drama. Not under Sun Yanqing's half-smiling, mocking gaze. Nothing I said would matter anyway. The truth is, only people who want to hear it will actually listen. Gutingshan doesn't want to hear it. He just wants to judge me. Mr. Gu, I said. What's in the past? Let it stay there. You've got 800 million now. You've got a fiancé, a career. You're doing just fine. I've done all right for myself too. Not on your level, but at least. At least what? He cut me off with a cold laugh. At least you still have that 500,000. That sentence completely set me off. Not because it was harsh, but because he brought up that 500,000. That money. This is the worst humiliation of my life. But because that money bought out my trust in him. My faith in the world, my belief in love. I took a deep breath, about to speak, when my phone suddenly rang. It was old neighbor Auntie Wang. Qingxi. You need to come home now. Lele has a fever. Anan keeps crying for you. I can't calm him down. My heart plummeted. Lele has a fever? He was perfectly fine when I left this morning. How did he suddenly get a fever? Auntie Wang, don't panic. I'm coming right back. I hung up and turned to leave. Gutingshan grabbed my shoulder. Shenqingxi, running away again? My kid is sick. I need to go. I shook his hand off hard. A kid? His expression shifted instantly. You have kids? None of your business. I pushed past him to leave. But Sun Yanqing suddenly stepped in front of me. Smiling soft and poised. Miss Shen, since you're already here. Why rush off? Why rush off? Things between you and Tingshan haven't been settled yet. My son has a high fever. I don't have time for your nonsense. My voice was already shaking. Son? Sun Yanqing's expression shifted subtly, but she quickly recovered her smile. When did Miss Shen get married? I hadn't heard. I'm not married. She covered her mouth and laughed. Then this child. She didn't finish. But everyone caught her implication. Unwed mother. Single mom. Those 2 labels stuck to me like filth. Impossible to wash off. I clenched my fists. Nails digging into my palms. Gutingshan looked at me, his eyes complicated. He seemed to want to speak but said nothing. Just then, the ballroom doors burst open. 2 little boys rushed in. They were wearing matching cartoon t-shirts, carrying identical backpacks. Their identical little faces. Tear-streaked, they ran fast through the crowd. Hurtling toward me. Mommy. Lele and Anan grabbed my legs from both sides. Sobbing uncontrollably. Mommy, why didn't you answer your phone? Lele has a fever. I feel so bad. Lele's little face was flushed bright red, his voice soft and weak. It shattered my heart. Mommy, we were so scared. Grandma Wan said you didn't want us anymore. Anan was crying her eyes out too. Her knuckles whitened clutching my dress. I crouched down and pulled both of my babies into my arms. My heart was being ripped apart. Don't be scared, sweethearts. Mommy's right here. How could I ever not want you? Mommy's taking you home right now. The entire room went so quiet you could hear a pin drop. Every single pair of eyes was fixed on the 3 of us. I could feel those stares burning into my back like spotlights. Hot and searing. But I couldn't care less about any of that. My children needed me. I scooped Lele up into my arms. I took Ainan's hand and turned to leave. I slammed straight into a wall of solid muscle. Gu Tingshan had somehow appeared right behind me. His face was as white as a sheet. His lips were trembling. His eyes locked onto Lele in my arms. Then they darted to Ainan beside me. The shock in those eyes was impossible to hide. Because Lele and Ainan looked exactly like him. Not just similar. They were carbon copies. The same brows, the same eyes. Same nose, same lips, same worried frown. That faint little vertical line. Identical. Anyone who saw them wouldn't need a DNA test to know instantly. These were Gu Tingshan's sons. Gu Tingshan's. His voice was so hoarse it was barely audible. How old are they? I didn't answer. Ainan tilted his little face up and said in his sweet baby voice, "We're 7. 7. That single word hit the banquet hall like a bomb. Everyone gasped. 7 years ago. Shenqingxi left Gu Tingshan. 7 years later, she returns with his twin boys. The timeline matches. The faces match. What more is there to explain? Gu Tingshan's body swayed. Like someone had just punched him square in the gut. He grabbed the table, knuckles white. Veins bulged on his hand. His lips trembled. Are they my sons? I didn't speak. Not because I didn't want to. I couldn't. My throat felt like it was blocked by something. It ached so badly. 7 years. The secret I'd buried for 7 years, exposed. It was dragged out into the open. Lele was still burning with fever. His face on my shoulder, breathing fast and hot. Ainan clung to my leg, eyes brimming with tears. Staring at Gu Tingshan. His eyes were full of confusion and fear. Mommy. Who is that man? Ainan whispered. That one word, man, cut like a knife. Straight through Gu Tingshan's chest. I saw his eyes redden in an instant. He opened his mouth, but his voice caught. I'm your... He couldn't finish. He didn't know how to explain to a 7-year-old that he was their father, a father who had been absent for all 7 years of their lives. Sun Yanqing stood to the side, and the smile on her face finally cracked. She looked at Gu Tingshan, then at the 2 kids, then at me. That delicate, perfect face went pale, inch by inch. Tingshan. She reached for his arm. What is going on? How could they possibly be yours? Shut up. Gu Tingshan shook off her hand. His voice ice cold. He had never spoken to Sun Yanqing like that before. Sun Yanqing froze. Her eyes instantly welling up. But Gu Tingshan didn't even glance at her. All his attention was on the 2 kids. No. More precisely, it was all on me. Shenqingxi, his voice was trembling. Tell me, are they my sons? I lifted my head and met his eyes. In them were shock, anger, pain, and something I had never seen before. A desperate, almost pitiful plea. He was begging me to say yes. He was begging me to admit these 2 children were his. But I just held Lele tighter in my arms and said in the calmest voice possible, Mr. Gu. They're my sons. They have nothing to do with you. Those words hit him like a bucket of ice water, poured over his head. His whole body went rigid. Nothing to do with me? He repeated my words, his voice full of disbelief. Look at their faces and say that again. Nothing to do with me? I said nothing. I held Lele, took Ainan's hand, turned around, and walked out of the banquet hall. Behind me, Gu Tingshan's roar echoed. Shenqingxi. Stop right there. I didn't look back. The moment the elevator doors closed, I saw Gu Tingshan burst out of the banquet hall and run toward me, a crowd of gossiping onlookers trailing behind him. The elevator doors shut, cutting off his face. Lele shifted in my arms and whispered, Mommy. That man was crying. I closed my eyes, and the tears finally fell. After that day, my life completely changed. Gu Tingshan acted like a madman. He started invading every corner of my life. The next morning, when I opened up the shop, there was a black Maybach parked out front. Gu Tingshan was sitting inside, staring at me through the window. He didn't get out, didn't come in, just sat there watching, all day, from 8 in the morning until 10 at night. My dessert shop. It's on an old South Side street. Old neighbors from around here. A Maybach parked at the door. Sent the whole street into a frenzy. Ching Ci. Who's that in the car? Is that your husband? Auntie Zhang from the fruit shop next door leaned in and asked. No, I said. So do you know him? The moment I said I didn't know him, Gu Tingshan rolled down his window and looked straight at me. Our eyes met. I looked away without any expression and turned back into the shop. That afternoon, Lele and Anan came home from kindergarten and spotted the big black car right away. Mommy, what a huge car! Lele shouted excitedly. It's even bigger than Zhao Zixuan's family car. Anan chimed in, not about to be outdone. Gu Tingshan got out of the car. In his hands, he held 2 transformers. The latest edition. One costs more than my entire monthly revenue. Hey, kids. He smiled stiffly. Like transformers? Lele and Anan exchanged a glance, then looked at me. I stood at the doorway with my arms crossed, face blank. Mommy. Lele called me softly. Come inside, I said. The 2 kids obediently ran into the shop. Gu Tingshan stayed crouched there, holding the transformers, like a man the whole world had abandoned. Looking at him from behind, I felt a flash of pity in my heart. But only for a second. 7 years ago, when I was pregnant, burning with fever, I crawled to the hospital. No mercy. 7 years ago, when I was hemorrhaging on the delivery bed, signing a critical condition notice, no one ever went soft on me. 7 years ago, when I held my 2 premature babies, couldn't even afford formula, and they screamed from hunger. No one ever went soft on me. And now he shows up with 2 transformers. And thinks he can just play daddy? Dream on. That night, Gu Tingshan sent me the first text message. Ching Ci, I'm sorry. I didn't reply. The second one. I know I don't even deserve to say those words. But I really want to see the kids. No reply. The third one. Please, just give me a chance. No reply. The fourth one. Whatever you want, I'll give it to you. Money, a house, company shares. Just say the word. I stared at that message and let out a cold laugh. Money. Always money. 7 years ago, his mom threw money at me then. 7 years later, he did too. In the eyes of the Gu family, Shen Qingxi, for her entire life, has only ever cared about money. I turned off my phone and went to read the kids a bedtime story. But the next morning, my phone exploded. Dozens of text messages, over 100 missed calls, all from unknown numbers. I opened them and saw they were all from reporters. Hello, Ms. Shen. I'm with Suizhou Evening News. What's your relationship with the CEO of Xingheng Tech, Gu Tingshan? Ms. Shen, I heard you disappeared for 7 years. With Mr. Gu's 2 children. Is that true? Ms. Shen, is it true that you took 500,000 from Mr. Gu's mother back then? My hand was shaking as I held the phone. The news spread so fast. I opened the local news and saw the front page headline. Xingheng Tech CEO Gu Tingshan and ex-wife Shen Qingxi, 7 years of grudges exposed. Twin boys suspected to be Mr. Gu's biological children. The article was trash. Gold digger takes the money and runs. Secret marriage and kids for 7 years, now returns with kids, demanding a huge custody payout. Most comments trashed me. This woman is absolutely shameless. She took the money and ran. Now that he's successful, she crawls back. Get a paternity test. That'll show if they're his or not. If they are, just give the kids to him. Don't hold them back. Poor Mr. Gu. Wasted 7 years on a woman like that. I scrolled through them one by one. And my heart grew colder with every line. 7 years. 7 years ago I was called a gold digger. 7 years later, I'm still called a gold digger. I didn't explain back then. And I don't want to explain now. But some people just won't let me live my life in peace. That afternoon, a group of people showed up outside the dessert shop. I recognized the one in front. Zhao Mingyuan, Gu Tingshan's business partner. Behind him were 5 or 6 men in suits. And one woman. Sun Yanqing. Ms. Shen. Zhao Mingyuan smiled politely, but his eyes were full of contempt. We need to talk. Talk about what? I stood in the doorway and didn't let them inside. About custody of the children. Zhao Mingyuan pulled a document out of his briefcase. This is what Mr. Gu wants. Take a look. I didn't take it. Zhao Mingyuan didn't seem to care. He just set the document down on the table by the door. Mr. Gu is willing to give you 10 million. All you have to do is transfer custody of the children to him. Also, he'll buy you an apartment in the city center. It'll be in your name, as compensation. 10 million. An apartment. That's the price Gu Tingshan has put on the table. So in his eyes, my children are worth 10 million plus. And Zhao Mingyuan glanced at Sun Yanqing. He continued, Mr. Gu and Miss Su are getting engaged next month. If you're willing to cooperate, the children will be cared for by Miss Su. She comes from a well-off family, is well-educated, and can provide the best environment for the children to grow up in. Sun Yanqing stood to the side. She gave me a gentle smile. Miss Shen, don't worry. I'll be good to the children. Tingshan and I have already discussed it. We'll enroll them in an international school. Take them abroad on breaks. They'll be fine. She sounded so sincere, like charity work. But I caught the flash of smugness in her eyes. She was saying, I won. No matter how many kids you can pop out, Shenqing Ci, you're nothing but a breeding tool. Once the kids are born, they're still mine. I looked at Sun Yanqing. That delicate, pretty face of hers. Looked at Zhao Mingyuan. And that all business, matter-of-fact look on his face. Looked at that cold, detached custody transfer agreement. And suddenly, I laughed. Not a bitter laugh, not self-mockery. I genuinely found it hilarious. 7 years. The Gu family still uses the same tactics on me. 7 years ago, his mom paid me 500k to leave. Now, he's offering 10 million for me to hand over my children. In their eyes, all of Shenqingxi's problems can be solved with money. My dignity, my bottom line. My children, they're all just commodities with a price tag. Mr. Zhao. I picked up that agreement and, in front of everyone, tore it to shreds, page by page. You go back and tell Gu Tingshan, forget 10 million. Even if he handed me all of Xinghing Tech, I would never give him my children. The scraps of paper drifted to the floor like a silent snowfall. Zhao Mingyuan's face darkened. Sun Yanqing's smile froze. Miss Shen, Sun Yanqing frowned slightly. Why be like this? Raising 2 kids alone is hard. Don't you care about your children's future? If they stay with Tingshan, they'll have access to the best schools and the best resources. You run a dessert shop. What can you even give them? I can give them a mother. I said it slowly, every single word. Can you? Sun Yanqing's face went pale. Miss Su. I looked right at her and said calmly, you want to be their stepmom? I won't stop you. But remember this. My children don't need a second mother. You'd better stay far away from them. With that, I turned and walked back into the shop, closing the door behind me. From outside came Zhao Mingyuan's furious voice. Shenqingxi, don't be so ungrateful. Who the hell do you think you are? Mr. Gu is offering you money. That's him doing you a favor. I ignored him. I walked into the back kitchen and started kneading dough. The dough twisted under my hands, pounded and beaten half to death, like I was taking something out on it. I took a deep breath, telling myself to calm down. But my hands were shaking. Not from fear. From rage. Gu Tingshan, who gave you the right? 7 years. You never once asked about me or the kids. Now you just show up out of nowhere and casually say you'll give me 10 million. Give you the kids. Like that erases everything I went through for 7 years. Who the hell do you think you are? I kept kneading the dough, tears dropping one by one into the flour. In the days that followed, Gu Tingshan got even worse. Every day he showed up at the kindergarten gate right on time, rain or shine. On rainy days he'd stand at the entrance with an umbrella, holding an Ultraman toy. On sunny days, he'd lean against the car door wearing sunglasses, holding a Barbie doll, even though he knew perfectly well that Lele and Ainen are boys and don't like Barbie dolls. Every time he appeared, it caused a commotion. The kindergarten teachers, parents picking up their kids, people passing by. They all recognized him. Look, look. Isn't that Mr. Gu from Xinghing Tech? Whose kid does he come pick up every day? I heard his ex-wife had twins. They're his kids. She hid them from him for 7 years. He only just found out. Seriously? That's so damn dramatic. Gossip and rumors spread like a plague. I didn't dare let Lele and Ainen hear any of it. Every time, I'd rush them out through the side door. But the kids were growing up. They weren't deaf. Mommy, One day Anan suddenly asked me, "That uncle who comes to pick us up every day, is he our daddy?" I froze. Lele also looked up at me with his little face, his eyes full of hope and curiosity. "All the kids are saying it," Lele said. "They say he's our dad. Because he looks exactly like us." I crouched down and pulled both kids into my arms, not knowing how to answer. They said I lied to them. They said he picked them up daily, rain or shine. Has nothing to do with them. I couldn't say it. Because I didn't want to lie to them. I didn't want them thinking their dad's a bastard. Even though Gutingshan really is an irresponsible bastard. But the kids are innocent. He's your father. I finally told the truth. Both kids' eyes lit up instantly. Really? Lele jumped with excitement. I knew it. He's our dad. He looks exactly like the dad in the photo. The dad in the photo. That was when they were 3. I made them a photo album. There was only one picture of Gutingshan in it, cut out from an old photo of us together. I told them. Dad went far away for work. Once he's done, he'll come back. They waited for years. Finally, the wait was over. But I had no idea how to let them meet him. Because I didn't want them to acknowledge this father. A father who paid 10 million for his own kids. A father who wouldn't even spare a minute to understand his ex-wife. Before slapping the gold digger label on her. But what right do I have to keep them apart? They're father and sons. Blood ties. That's a fact that can never change. I held both kids in my arms. My heart a complete mess. Just then, my phone rang. It was Gutingshan. I hesitated for a second, then picked up. Qingxiai. His voice was wrecked, like he hadn't slept in days. I know you don't want to forgive me. I'm not asking for your forgiveness. But I'm begging you. Let me see the kids. Even if it's just from a distance. Please. His tone was so low. So painfully humble. So unlike the Gutingshan who drenched me in wine. Gutingshan. I said. Do you know Lele had a fever the day before yesterday? Silence on the other end. Do you know why he had a fever? He kicked off his blanket. I was busy and missed it. I'm raising 2 kids alone. I can't be everywhere at once. I've tried my best. But I'm not Superwoman. I know. His voice got even rougher. You don't know. I cut him off. You can't imagine crawling on the floor to the hospital. Pregnant and burning up with fever. You don't know. How terrified I was when I hemorrhaged on the delivery bed. And had to sign a critical condition notice. You don't know. How many nights I sat alone in that hospital hallway crying, while both babies fought for their lives in incubators. Tears were streaming down my face. You didn't know any of it. All you knew was I took 500,000 and ran. I was a gold digger. You never once stopped to think. Why did I take that money? You never once asked yourself. Did I have reasons? Did I have no choice? You never once wondered. Ask your mom what that 500K was really about. From the other end of the line came a choked, muffled sob. Qingxiai. Just stop. I don't want to hear it. I hung up. That night, Gutingshan came to find me. He didn't drive. He was wearing a gray hoodie, his hair a complete mess. His eyes were bloodshot. He hadn't shaved. The man looked half dead outside the dessert shop. The streetlight stretched his shadow long and thin. Qingxiai. He said, I want to talk. There's nothing to talk about. I stood in the doorway, didn't let him in. I checked everything. He just blurted it out. I froze. I went through my mother's bank records. He looked at me. His eyes were rimmed red. That 500,000. She transferred it from her own account. 7 years ago. October 15th. I remember that day. That day, he was away on a business trip. His mother came to find me. She gave me that money. I pulled that day's footage. His voice was shaking. My mother went to our rental apartment. She stayed less than an hour, then left. After she left, you dragged a suitcase out and walked away. He paused. He sighed. When you left, you kept crying. My tears came flooding back in an instant. He stepped closer, his voice so choked he could barely speak. Why didn't you tell me that you were pregnant? Why didn't you tell me my mother forced you out? Why didn't you tell me any of this? Tell you? I let out a laugh. But tears kept falling. Tell you? What's the point? You wouldn't even answer my calls. You never came home. You didn't even know about the baby inside me. How was I supposed to tell you? My words left him, completely speechless. Gutingshan. I wiped my tears and looked at him. These 7 years. I had 1,000 chances to come find you. I could have asked for child support, begged to reconcile. I could have come to explain everything that happened back then, but I never came once. You know why? He shook his head. Because I hate you. I said it slowly, word by word. I hate that you weren't there when I needed you most. I hate that you never even asked me a single question, before you decided I was just some gold digger. I hate that you left me to carry everything alone. And I hate myself more for ever loving you. Those words were like a knife. Plunged straight into Gutingshan's heart. He paled, lips trembling. But nothing came out. He reached for me, and I stepped back. Gutingshan, you want to see the kids? I won't stop you. You're their father. You have that right. But between you and me? There's nothing left to talk about. I won't remarry or take your money. Just stay away. I slammed the door. Through the door came his choked sobs. I leaned against it. Closed my eyes, tears streaming down my face. From that day on, Gutingshan changed. He no longer parked his Maybach outside my shop. Stop ambushing the kids at kindergarten. He started dressing down. T-shirt, jeans, sneakers. Like some regular 9-to-5 guy. Every morning, he showed up at the dessert shop right on time. He hauled 50-pound bags for me. I used to carry them into the storage room myself, one bag at a time. My back wrecked. Then he came. He took over all of it. He didn't talk to me. Finished hauling, then left. At night, he came back, watched the shop, greeted customers, washed dishes, wiped tables, worked harder than my own employees. One time, I accidentally knocked over a tray of fresh baked bread. Scalded the back of my hand. The pain made me suck in a sharp breath. He rushed over. He ran cold water over my burn. Then he pulled a tube of burn cream from his pocket and applied it with painstaking care. I watched him, head lowered. He tended my burn. My heart raced. How do you just happen to have burn cream? I asked. I know you get burned a lot, he said, voice low and heavy. So I always carry it. My eyes suddenly stung. But I shoved that feeling down fast. I can't go soft. This man hurt me 7 years ago. I can't let myself weaken just because he did one small thing. Then he broke through my walls. That night, I was cleaning up, getting ready to close. He walked in, holding a document in his hand. What is this? I asked. I transferred 30% of my shares into Lele and Ainan's names. He set the papers on the counter. Irrevocable. Notarized. I froze. 30% of the shares. Xingheng Tech is worth over 2 billion right now. 30%. That's over 600 million. Are you insane? My eyes went wide as I stared at him. I'm not insane, he said. They're my sons. This is what I owe them. You don't need to. I need to, he cut me off, looking at me. His eyes dead serious, not joking in the slightest. Qingxi, I know you don't want my money. You think it's dirty. But this money isn't for you. It's for the kids. Even if you don't want it, please, take it for them. I opened my mouth, but no words came out. And then, he pulled another piece of paper from his pocket. This is my notarized will. My will. I took the paper, read a few lines, and my hands started shaking. The will stated, if anything happens to Gutingshan, all assets under his name, company shares, properties, savings, investments, everything goes to Shen Qingxi and her children. Sun Yanqing's name. Not one single mention. You. I looked up at him. My voice trembling. You and Sun Yanqing. Aren't you supposed to be engaged? It's off, he said. As casually as if commenting on the weather. There was never an engagement. It was my mother's idea. I never agreed to it. I took a deep breath, forcing my voice to sound steady. Gutingshan. I need you. He looked at me, his eyes reddening again. Qingxi, I need you. I've had everything these past 7 years, money, status, reputation. But I haven't had a single happy day. I can't sleep at night. The moment I close my eyes, it's you. I hated you for 7 years. But I realized, I hated you. Because I could never let you go. His voice cracked. Qingxi, I'm not asking for your forgiveness. I'm not asking you to remarry me. I'm just begging you to let me stay by your side, and the kids. Let me make it up to you. Even if you never forgive me, I'll accept that. I looked at the man before me. My heart a tangled mess. 7 years ago, he was a broke nobody. He ate plain buns for a month to buy me lipstick. Now he's worth 800 yet groveling like a beggar. On his knees, begging me to take everything he has. Should I be moved? I don't know. 7 years ago. The Qingxi with a huge pregnant belly, crawling on the ground to get to the hospital. She signed her own critical notice. The Qingxi holding 2 premature babies, who couldn't even afford formula. What she needed wasn't money, or shares, or a notarized will. What she needed was someone by her side. But Gu Tingshan wasn't there. He wasn't there. And now he shows up with 600 million in shares. And a will, trying to use all that. To fill the void of the past 7 years. But he can't fill it. Because some things money can never buy. Gu Tingshan, I said. Your shares and your will, I'll accept them on behalf of the kids. But remember, these things don't mean anything else. You're still you, and I'm still me. I know. He said it so softly. Qingxi, thank you. After Gu Tingshan left that night, I sat alone in the shop for a long time. I stared at those 2 documents, and suddenly it all felt ridiculous. 7 years ago, his mom paid me 500k to leave him. Now he offers 600 to buy my forgiveness. The money keeps getting bigger, but money was never what I wanted. All I ever wanted was a chance to explain. A moment of being understood. Someone who would stand by me. When I needed it most. He didn't. Now he's offering. But it's already too late. I picked up my phone. And sent Sisterly a message. Sisterly, thank you. She replied instantly. Thank me for what? Thank you for making me go to that party. Even though it turned into a total circus, at least. Some things can finally be put behind me. Sisterly sent voice messages. I heard the first one, and my eyes welled up again. Qingxi, oh honey, Sisterly has known you for 10 years. I know exactly the kind of person you are. Back when you left, I knew something was off, but I didn't dare ask. Now I finally understand. You've been wronged. Those 4 words. I waited 7 years. Finally, someone said them to me. The next day, Gu Tingshan showed up at the dessert shop right on time. He was wearing a white t-shirt, jeans, and sneakers. Holding breakfast in his hands. Bought for the kids. He handed me the bag. Inside were 2 kids' meals. Plus a cup of hot milk and a cup of coffee. The coffee was cappuccino, my old favorite. How did you know I like this? I took the coffee. And asked. I've always remembered. He said. I looked at him. Between us stood 7 years of time. Countless misunderstandings and wounds. Endless nights of crying and a loneliness no one ever knew about. But in this moment, he suddenly smiled. Smiled like some reckless kid barely out of his 20s. Qingxi, you've gotten thinner. He said. I almost lost it right there. Cut the crap. Move the stock. Got it. He rolled up his sleeves. And charged into the storage room. So full of energy, like he was heading to a sports meet. I watched his back and couldn't help but smile. I guess this is life. Not so many fireworks. Not so much heart-wrenching drama. Just the daily grind. Just the same plain routine, day after day. Gu Tingshan still hasn't given up on winning me back. He helps daily, drives the kids to school. And brings me a cappuccino every single day. Every day before the dessert shop closes. He helps me put everything away. He does it so carefully. Like a child who messed up, trying desperately to win back an adult's approval. I watch him clumsily scrubbing the baking trays. Dish soap dripping everywhere, and I can't help but sigh. Mr. Gu. You're worth 800 million. Could you please stop wrecking things in my tiny shop? He looks up. His face covered in soap suds, grinning like a total idiot. If I wreck it, I'll pay for it. You? Can you afford it? Everything I have is already yours. What do you think, can I afford it or not? I roll my eyes at him. Turn and head into the back kitchen, but my ears quietly flush red. No. Shenqingxiai, you cannot go soft. This man was trash for 7 years. Just because he's washed dishes for a few days doesn't mean you forgive him. But I can't stop myself from thinking about him. Thinking about how he shows up at my door every morning, right on time. Thinking about the muscles flexing in his arms when he hauls flour sacks. Thinking about that tender look in his eyes when he tells the kids stories. Thinking about the way he looks at me. Those eyes brimming with guilt and hope. I tell myself, it's just habit. I've gotten used to him showing up. Used to having him around. Used to his daily cappuccino. It's not attraction. It's not forgiveness. And it's definitely not love. But who exactly am I fooling? That night, I close up and head home, only to find Lele and Anan already asleep. Gu Tingshan is sitting in the living room, a storybook in his hand, slumped against the sofa. Fast asleep too. His lashes are so long, casting a fan-shaped shadow beneath his eyes. When he's sleeping, he doesn't look like an $800 million CEO. He just looks like an exhausted boy. I walk over, meaning to drape a blanket over him. The second the blanket touches him, his eyes snap open. We're face to face, inches apart. His eyes are so bright, like they're holding stars. Qingxiai. He calls my name softly. Thank you. For what? Thank you for not raising my children to hate me. My eyes suddenly burn red. Lele today. He drew a picture at school. His voice catches. It was of our family of 4. Dad, Mom, Lele, Anan. He told me. It was the gift he wanted most. He also said, even though Dad wasn't here before, he's here now. So he forgives Dad. His tears fall. Qingxiai, even a 7-year-old can forgive me. Can you? Can you give me a chance to? I look at his tears. And my heart aches like someone has it in a death grip. I remember 7 years ago. In that rented room, the way he held me and cried. Back then, he was the same, tears streaming down his face, saying he was sorry. Saying he was useless, saying he couldn't give me a good life. Back then, I would wipe away his tears. In my heart, you are the greatest. But now, I'm not the same person I was 7 years ago. 7 years ago, I'd brave poverty and give all for him. Willing to hand him the entire world. 7 years ago, when his mother drove me away with 500,000, I couldn't even manage a single word in my own defense. Because I believed she was right. I really wasn't good enough for him. I really would have brought suffering upon his children. But the Shenqingxi of now doesn't need anyone anymore. She has her dessert shop. It's not huge, but it's enough to support her and the 2 kids. She has Lele and Anan. She nearly died for them. She has dreams. She has her own life. She has her own little piece of the sky. She clings to no one. Forgives no one. Gu Tingshan, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. I don't hate you anymore. His eyes lit up. I don't love you either. His spark faded fast. I don't need your compensation, and I don't need your guilt. All I hope is that you can be a good father. Live up to what the word father actually means. As for us, let's just leave it at that. He stayed silent for a long time. After a long silence, he finally spoke. His voice was soft, like a feather landing on the ground. Okay. After that day, Gu Tingshan. He stopped trying so hard. No more cappuccinos. No more excuses to hover around me. Still, he came daily for the kids and helped out. But he no longer said those things that made my heart race. He became very quiet. Quiet like a passing breeze. But even the wind has warmth. The day I got sick, he panicked and rushed me to the hospital. He handled everything. I lifted not a finger. The night Lele and Anan came down with fevers, he carried both kids by himself and rushed to 2 different hospitals. By the time I got there, both kids were already on 4 drips, sleeping peacefully. He sat by the hospital bed, holding one little hand in each of his eyes red-rimmed. When he saw me, all he said was, "It's okay now. Don't worry." In that moment, my heart lurched hard. But I quickly shoved that feeling back down. I told myself, he's just doing his duty as a father. It has nothing to do with me. But then he did something else. Something I couldn't ignore. That day, Sun Yanqing came to find me. No makeup on. She was wearing a plain t-shirt and jeans. A far cry from that glittering, bejeweled woman at the banquet. Like two completely different people. Miss Shen, she said. Tingshan and I are completely over. Oh, I didn't react much. He cut ties with his own mother for you. I looked up at her. He sent his mother abroad. Sun Yanqing let out a bitter smile. It's not that he's unfilial. He just needs time, he said. He'd bring her back when she's willing to truly accept you. To admit what she did back then was wrong. I stayed quiet for a moment. Why are you telling me all this? Because I want you to know. Sun Yanqing looked at me, her eyes slightly red. He gave up everything for you. His mother, me, and all the connections and resources that could have helped his career. He gave it all up. You know his company's been negotiating a major investment lately, right? The investor's boss is my dad's friend. All it would have taken was one word from me, and the deal would be done. But he refused. He said, he doesn't want to owe me any favors, and he doesn't want me to think. He was only with me for the money. Her voice started to crack. Miss Shen, I admit I looked down on you before. I thought you weren't good enough for him. But now I get it. The one who isn't good enough is me. For you, he didn't even blink. At giving away 600 million in shares, what wouldn't he give? Sun Yanqing left. I stood at the entrance of the dessert shop, watching her figure disappear into the crowd. My heart was a complete mess. I knew Gu Tingshan had sacrificed a lot for me and the kids. But what I knew even more deeply was that 7 years ago, that Shen Qingxi with a huge belly, burning with fever, crawling on the ground to get to the hospital. What she needed wasn't compensation now. It was companionship back then. Time can't be rewound. Some wounds, once inflicted, can never be healed. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed, tossing and turning. My mind was filled with Gu Tingshan's face. Him 7 years ago, him 7 years later. Him poor, him rich, him hating me, him loving me. Should I forgive him or not? I thought about it for a long time, until my head felt like it was going to explode. Finally, I picked up my phone and scrolled to his WeChat. In the chat window, it was all messages from him. One a day, rain or shine. Good morning, Qingxi. Nice weather today. Remember to drink plenty of water. Good night, Qingxi. Get some rest. Don't overwork yourself. Lele got a little red flower at school today. He was so happy. Anan drew a picture of our family of 4 eating hot pot. He asked when you could make his wish come true. I scrolled down one by one, and tears fell before I even realized it. I scrolled back to the top. His very first message. Qingxi, I'm sorry. Just 4 words. But I know behind those 4 words were countless sleepless nights. Countless times he wanted to reach out but hesitated. 7 years of love and resentment that never faded. Complicated feelings. I took a deep breath and typed a few words. Sent. Tomorrow, 3 p.m. Civil Affairs Bureau entrance. The moment the message went out, my heart pounding out of my chest. I quickly added another line. To register the kids. Not to remarry. Silence for so long I thought he'd fallen asleep. Then he replied with one word. Okay. The next afternoon at 3 p.m. I brought Lele and Anan to the Civil Affairs Bureau entrance right on time. Gu Tingshan was already there. He wore a white shirt, hair neatly combed. He looked a little nervous. His hands didn't know where to go. You came, he said. Yeah, I said. The moment Lele and Anan saw him, they ran over excitedly. Daddy. That one word, Daddy, made Gu Tingshan's eyes instantly redden. He crouched down and pulled both kids tight into his arms. His voice too choked to speak. Daddy's here. Watching the 3 of them holding each other, some corner of my heart suddenly softened. After finishing the registration and coming out, Lele and Anan each held one of my hands and one of Gu Tingshan's, walking in the sunlight. Mommy, Lele suddenly tilted her little face up and asked, will Daddy live with us from now on? I froze for a second. and glanced at Gutingshan. He was looking down at Anan, pretending not to hear. But I saw his grip on Anan's hand tighten. Daddy has his own home, I said. But Daddy said his home is our home. Anan blinked her big eyes, all innocence. Gutingshan finally looked up. At me. His eyes full of hope, nerves, and a touch of desperation. Qingxiai, he said. Give me a chance to take care of you all. I looked at him. Silent for a long time. Gutingshan, I said. I'm not remarrying you. His eyes dimmed for a moment. But I'll give you a chance to win me back. His eyes lit up again. Whether you succeed depends on you. Okay. He smiled like a kid who just got candy. I'll do my best. Lele and Anan both. All clapping and cheering. Go, Daddy. I couldn't help but laugh at them. Then I quickly straightened my face. Don't get cocky too soon. I said it's a chance. Not a guaranteed outcome. A chance is all I need. Gutingshan said. His eyes gleaming like stars in the night sky. Qingxi, thank you. Thank you for giving me this chance. Thank you for not giving up on me. Thank you for still letting me. Love you. As the sun set, the four of us walked home together, our shadows stretching long and far. 7 years of darkness finally lifted in that moment. Gone.